Well, as Mark's touched on in his report, as Russian troops withdraw from towns and cities in western Ukraine, women are speaking out about the rape and torture they were subjected to by Putin's soldiers. On Wednesday, Nobel laureate and human rights activist Nadia Murad, who was kidnapped, tortured and raped by Islamic State in 2017, launched new global guidelines detailing how to collect evidence from survivors and witnesses of conflict rape, and had this appeal.
If women who have suffered such immense loss and incredible pain can find the strength to not only rebuild our lives, but help our families, communities, and entire countries, surely the rest of the world can find the strength to take meaningful steps to end sexual violence in conflict.
Well, Wolfe is a journalist and professor who has reported on conflict rape all over the world for more than a decade, and she joins me from Seattle. Lauren, thank you for joining us. I just wanted to begin by asking you how unique this real-time reporting of rapes being used as a war crime in Ukraine is, which we've been charting on the BBC and many other organisations have too, and how that helps combat this crime.
Did you say how you leak it?
How unique it is that there is this real-time reporting of rapes.
The really unique opportunity we have right now in Ukraine is that it is until this last month, it is a functioning system of, internet, judiciaries, doctors. There are institutions in place, and that's really different from, say, Rwanda during the genocide. Syria just being bombed to bits. It's a very different situation, and getting the word out requires technology and it requires self-reporting. So there are groups working with women who are taking testimonies, and they are coming out.
Does that help combat the crime?
If there will be prosecutions, which I'm willing to bet there will be, but it's a very complicated subject. Yes, you need to document every single rape or sexual assault in a very specific way, with as much information as you can. So the earlier the better, when people's memories are fresh, because, you can't always see a physical sign of rape, but you can sometimes corroborate with physical signs such as like cigarette burns, things like that. But more than that, it's what women and sometimes men remember hearing. So if they, in Syria, I can't remember what the phrase was, but they kept, the men who were raping women kept saying, like, you want your country, this is for your country, something like that. So those kinds of patterns, when they can be predicted, can be prosecuted. We can figure out who's ordering them, and also some sort of paper trail. I mean, in Bosnia, they left records everywhere, just like in Germany during the war.
A particularly nasty aspect of this is the strategic reasons used for rape in wars. And when it comes to the Ukraine conflict, how high up do you think this goes? And do you think it's premeditated and large scale from what you've been hearing?
There are news reports saying that it is on a massive scale, which is also unusual to hear that very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if it was coming from above, which leads to a difficulty in terms of going after the highest level colonels, generals, and then Putin himself. But as a lawyer for the International Criminal Tribunal of Rwanda told me a few years ago, you start where you can. You go as high as you can, but you also go for the bottom people. So you get everyone you can in some sort of courtroom.
And one of the things about war crimes of this nature is the shame that carries through with the women in post-community life. Are they getting a lot of help in Ukraine after these atrocities?
Unlike a lot of conflicts, there are organizations in place already that help women. So we're getting reports from them. I've heard of one that is working with the Ukrainian government to help women. So there is an infrastructure in place, unlike in most modern wars.
Wolfe, thank you so much for joining us here on BBC News.